Hey everybody, this is going to be a flash tutorial on how to make this multi-panel quiz. I'm going to be doing this in Flash Professional 8 and Actionscript 2, and the purpose of this is really to make some resources for students to practice their science, in my case, using multiple choice questions. So if you were a teacher and you wanted to create something like this for your students, it's kind of a fun way to review what the students are learning in class, and they do it in this kind of interesting game-like environment. In this particular case, it's a multiple choice quiz. I've done a couple of tutorials on true-false quizzes, and I think my last one was a multiple choice one. It was the cell phone quiz. And this one I want to just, concentrate on a couple of different things. First of all, I've got this custom cursor, and it's nothing special, but it sort of blends in with the theme of things, so I want to look at that. And I want to look at masking a little bit, so I get this sort of broken fence look. Usually I work in black and white and gray these days, and I'm still doing that, but I'm adding just a pop of color here. And I also want to look at sort of targeting things to different graphics so that it's not all in one particular device or interface, but to show that you can have the interaction of the two. And in this quiz we'll have a faded screen, so we'll start on this instructional instructional page, and you could have it say whatever you wanted to. I just make up some stuff here, so it's not necessarily how I would word this if I was really making this quiz, but what you would do is read the instructions, and these are the left and right arrows. The back button doesn't do anything at this point because we're at the beginning of the quiz. You can see we're on page 0 here, and then you click on this one, and we'll have an animated button there scrolling through, and you can also see a fade. The question fades in. All right, so we'll be doing that and working our way up, and as we go through, we'll increment the question number. And at some point, we'll read a question, and then we'll try to choose an answer here, and say I click on B. You can see that B does something here on this little panel. It depresses and comes back up, but it also adds something to this screen over here. And when we get to the correct answer, we'll get this, and those will stick around, those graphics there, so that if they forget which button they pressed, oh yeah, that was A, so the correct answer was A. And when we go to another screen, then those will disappear, and we'll get to the very end, and then we can come back to the beginning. So it's a very basic tutorial. There's nothing fancy going on, but this is something that I do quite a bit on my website, www.zerobio.com. You can see the link I put at the end if you'd like to check that out. I've got a lot of Flash games and quizzes. I am not a professional. I am just a teacher, retired teacher actually now, musician, and this is all stuff that I've learned over the years and had a lot of success with my students. Have really enjoyed playing these things, and it doesn't matter how silly or how crappy they are. They think it's better than doing studying from the textbook. All right, so if you're interested in this kind of thing, then follow along with me, and we'll get started. Okay, so as you can see, I've just got about seven frames here. I only have about 4 or 5 questions, and you could continue this up as far as you want. Right now, I've got the file. By the way, I'd like to show it to you on my desktop here. Here it is. It's about 30K for kilobytes for this. All right, you could go on and have 30 questions, and you're not going to top 100 kilobytes. I don't have a preloader in here, and I'm not always optimized with how I use my code, but it has never been a problem. All right, so I wouldn't worry about that at all. You just go ahead and have some fun and make some cool stuff, and don't worry about it too much. Just do what you can. That's what I do. Do what I can, and the kids really appreciate it, and it's a lot of fun to do. All right, so as always, I can't guarantee that the final product is going to look exactly like that, and it's always fun when it's a little bit different, but we'll give it a try. Okay, so we're just going to come back into Flash here. Let me just make sure that we're actually recording. That's not what I want to be doing. And yes, we are recording, so good. Okay, so great stuff. So I'm going to come over here to a new Flash file here. And all I've done here is I have created my new file, 1280 by 720. I tend to work in that for my YouTube videos. It's not necessarily going to be the best size for this particular interface, and I've just put a reference image from the previous file that I showed you, this one here. I just exported an image out so that we can come in here and I can look at this as a reference for what I want to create. I'm going to do that down here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 30 frames per second. All right, and I've already saved it, multi-panel quiz tutorial, and I'm going to be saving constantly as I do that. I put the reference image on a layer and I've locked it, and we're going to come up to another layer, and I'm going to start working in black and white and change some stuff in a bit. So I'm going to grab the rectangle tool, and I'm going to go for a corner radius of, I'm going to try 25 and see how that looks. And I'm going to use a stroke of about 4 to start with. Might even bump that up a little bit higher. Okay, so I'm going to be making this little panel right here. So let's go to it. All right, so there's my beginning of the panel, and it's just the one thing, so I'm going to grab that stroke, and I'm going to go edit, copy, edit, paste. And as always, I am not very good with my shortcut keys. That's okay, not a problem at all. So I'm going to move this in just a little bit. And I want to leave myself some room to pop some screws in there. I tend to always make screws. That's good enough. All right, I'm going to leave it like that. Now, I'm going to fill this in with black. And I'm going to stick with white just for the time being. So that's going to be the body of my major question panel. And I think I'll stick with some of the names that I've got for my layer. So I've called it question panel. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go convert it to a symbol. And I'm going to call it question panel. Now I'm going to need to reference this. So I'm going to give this an instance name of question panel as well. And I'm going to label this layer question panel. Move my microphone a bit, get out of the way. Okay, so we are all set, and so now I am going to go ahead and create those screws. Come up to another layer, save, and I'm going to just go black and white. I'm going to zoom in, draw a circle. I will be reusing these screws quite a bit. Make that stroke 2. Just get it in roughly into the position that I want. And I'm going to call this screw. I'll call this layer screw as well. I may compress various layers later on. Lock that, go up to another layer, choose my line tool. I'll start off with 2, but I'm going to zoom in. And I'm just going to try this. Draw that there. Okay, I will align that, copy and paste it, and then rotate it or transform it horizontally. Take a look at that, and that's fine by me. That is going to be my screw. I'm not going to bother labeling those layers. No sense to that. Although you could if you wanted to. I'm going to copy this and move one to the other side. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab both of them and copy and paste them in place. And I'm now going to move them down to the opposite corners. Just like that. And have a look at it. Cool. All right. Let's put a shadow under the question panel. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to put that in the actual panel itself. So I will call this, I will be doing some work in here, so I'm going to label these layers. Body, come down here, grab my ellipse, no stroke, black, and draw out some kind of a shadow, like that. Actually, I think I'll label that. Okay, there we go. Good stuff. Let's have a look at that. Okay, looks great. Let's see where we're going. Got a shadow. We got the screws, so I'm going to do these little sort of, I don't know what those are, but we're going to do those. So let's come down here and go to another layer. Oops, I did not want that. And I'm going to choose a corner radius of, let's try 8. And I want, I'll do a stroke, but I'll do 1. And I'll make this in white. And we'll just see what that's going to look like. Let me center that. And I come over here. We cut that off. Just something like that. And I'm going to convert that to a symbol. I'm just going to call it clip, for lack of a better name. Clip. And I'm going to copy and paste that. Copy, edit, paste in place. I'm going to flip it vertically, and then I'm going to move it down. And I'll zoom in so I can see where I'm placing this thing. See what that looks like. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe I tapped it down a bit much. Okay. It's starting to look decent. Save that, lock that layer. Let's come out for the moment. Go back to 100 and let's have a look at what we got so far. So we got that, we got that. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is I am going to do, I'm going to come up to another layer within that question panel. All right, and come up to another layer, and I'm going to call this scratches. And this is my attempt at making something that looks like it's kind of scratched up. All right. I choose the brush, the smallest brush size I can, black, and I'm just going to do some dots and some lines. In fact, I'm going to come up to a higher magnification and do a few imperfections here and there. Things like, it kind of gives like a wood-like texture. And I'm just haphazardly doing some of this stuff here just to give it some texture. All right, so nothing crazy going on. Just that. Takes some time, but it looks nice. I find it looks nice anyhow. You can modify the brush size and stuff like that, but I'm good for the time being. I think you'll get the idea. Just like this. I'm trying to make it look a little bit random. And sometimes it gets too much. You can always go back and erase some. That's okay. I'm leaving a little bit of room around the screws. And okay, so let's see what that looks like now with the screws in there. Very fancy, right? Yeah, it makes it a little bit more interesting to look at. Okay, so there are my scratches layer. And, okay, let's come back up. So we got most of that stuff. Now, let me just see where I put some stuff. There's my question panel, my fade, my questions are there. Let's go ahead and put some sample text in there right away. Okay, so the way I did that is, in fact, I think I am going to lower those screws down. I'm going to cut them, put them on that layer right there, and I'm going to call this questions. Okay, and we're going to write in this space here. This is going to be white. I'm going to use Verdana, I think, and this is going to be, you know, something like multi-panel quiz. Okay, we'll increase the size. I'm going to center that. And then I'm just going to write some stuff down here. Now I'm going to left justify and change my font size to maybe 20 if I can, if that works, and say use the right and left arrow button to move forwards and backwards. Change the font size here. So you can change the font size right in the same text box. And that's a bit small. Let's have a look at that. And also, you know, make it as even as you can. Okay, and then I'm going to say actually click on an answer. You know, something like that. I'm not spending a lot of time on getting the actual, you know, instructions beautifully written. I just want to get it done so that there's some sample text in here for you. Okay, so that's good. That's questions. That's going to be number one. Now, of course, we are going to be coding this, so I'm also already going to create an actions layer, and I'm going to put stop in there just so we have it and we're building up what we're going to be needing. Now, I think what I'll do right now is I'll work on these next and back buttons. All right, so I'm going to come up, and it is going to be important the order of the layers. All right, so I'm going to deal with that later on. I need some stuff above some stuff and below some stuff, that kind of thing. So I'm going to come down in here, and I am going to create these buttons. I'm just going to do it off to the side, and I'm probably going to be using probably around 3, maybe I'll go down to 2. And you know, don't want them too big, don't want them too small. So I'm going to have that, and we're going to fill them with black. So let's go ahead and do that. Fill it with black, and it's going to be on background. Okay, I'm going to go ahead right now and go convert it to a symbol. I'm going to call this the next button. I can make a back button right out of this. So I'm going to call this next back buttons. Okay, so let's go ahead in there. And what I'm going to do is take the center spot, edit, copy, edit, paste in place. No, I don't want it on the same layer. I want it on another layer, edit, paste in place. That I'm going to convert to this orange color here. Drag it underneath, and then I'm going to expand it. Something like that. I'm going to call this my indent. And this is the button. Let's call it BTN. And I'm going to put the arrow on top of there. So I am going to get rid of the stroke, and I'm just going to use the fill. And I'll do this in white. I'm just going to draw over here actually at first. Oh, I've got to get rid of that thing there. Let's zoom in a little bit. Actually, I changed my mind. I'll draw right here. So I'm going to draw like a square. And I've got my snap on, so I'm just going to grab one corner, pull it up till it snaps. And I'm going to rotate it so it looks like an arrow. Just like that. Bring it down, have a look at it. And I think it looks a little bit big. I'm going to transform, scale and rotate, and I'm just going to go 90. Okay, I can center this up, but it never looks like it's in the right spot, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, we got the white arrow, and now these are going to be animated buttons. So I want this to be able to depress, so I'm going to take that and paste it on the layer below. Okay, so I got all that on that layer, including the stroke. That's fine. I'm going to convert this to the actions layer so that we can make this button depress. And put a stop in there. And drag that stop over. Add some more frames here. 5. I only need a keyframe right here. That's where I'm going to do my magic. Not that it's much magic. Modify, transform, scale, and rotate. I think 90 is probably good enough. This will be like that, and then like that. Let's just go down to a lower size, 100%, see what that is going to look like. Yeah, that's going to be good enough. So that would be my next button. Bring it over here, and it probably is too big. Let's just check it out, though, and put some code on it initially, and I'm going to say on press is stop, go to, and stop the second frame of that animation so we can see it go in. And then I'm going to say on release, this go and stop back to frame number 1. There's a couple of things I want to say about this. You can see that it works. But notice if I press in and it depresses and I pull my hand out here and I let go, it stays in. It only goes in and out if I'm right on top of the button. All right, so this can be a problem. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this code, I'm going to copy it down here. And I'm going to say, if I release outside of the button, outside of the, the actual button graphic or the zone, it's still going to go back to the first frame of the animation. So here it works, and if I press it in and I move over here, it still goes. So, sometimes you can slide past something, click, and then move away, and you'll get a glitch. So this way it works. Obviously that is too big, so let's just reduce that. Let's try 85. That's still probably too big, but we're not going to worry about it for the time being. Let's edit, copy, edit, paste in place, move it over, and rotate it or flip it that way. Now the code is on both of those buttons, so I can have a forward and a backward button, and we can adjust their positions whatever we like, and we can even still adjust their size. Let's go 85 for that one and 85 for that one. How's that look? That's fine. Okay, so we got some buttons that are that are working for us. Great. Now, where do we go? Let's go ahead and put in this orange color so we can start to see what this thing's really going to look like. So I'm going to come back to the question panel, and I'm going to go down to the body layer right there, and I'm going to choose that orange color. And now the white pops a little bit better. All right, and the theme is starting to come together. Everything's looking great. Okay, we haven't coded very much yet, but we're getting there. Constantly saving the thing. And let's have another look. Well, we could go ahead and start working on these numbers here. So let's just do that. Let me have a quick look at where I placed them. Yeah, I just placed them on the root there. So we're going to come up here. I'm going to put it up near the top. And we're going to write the numbers down there. But this is going to be, this layer is going to be for numbers. And I'm going to grab a sort of gray color there. No fill. I think we're going to go hairline for now. And let me draw one of these. Okay, like that. Now, I'm going to take that and convert it to a symbol already. I'll call it numbers. And I think I need to instance these. So I'm going to call this numbers down there. And I'm going to come into it, go into the symbol. And I'm going to call this layer boxes. Now, I don't know how many I'm going to have, how many questions exactly. The information page is going to be 0. And then I'll probably have question 1, 2, 3, and then the next one, which is the 5th frame, will be the end. So I'm going to do 5, okay, including 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 4th is that ending page. So I'm going to take that and I go edit, copy, edit, paste in place. 7, 8, 9, maybe go 8 like that. All right, do it again. So it was 8. Doesn't really matter. I can eyeball it, right? So I got that so far. Let's move these over. I don't have to have stuff beautifully centered or anything. I'm going to take one more. Okay, just like that. But I will center it a bit better. So we've got that right there. All right. And I'll just sort of position it a bit. So I'm going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 4th one is going to be the end. So you would just do this as many questions as you have. You could do double rows of this. You could move these up so that you could go all the way across. It's up to you how you want to do this. You don't even have to do that, but I kind of like the idea of doing that. So that's my boxes. Now, up here, I'm going to type in, I think, white, and we'll see what size I need. And I'm going to put a 1 there, and that's obviously going to be too big. So we're going to come down to about, let's try 18. I might be able to go a little bit bigger than that. So let's try 20. And that's probably just fine. Let's have a look at that. Almost there. Okay. Now actually that is going to be a 0. And we're going to start at page 0. Don't have to. You could start at page 1, I suppose. Pull that into here. And that's going to be 1. Let's see, just see how that looks. 0, 1. I won't take too long getting things into the exact position I would want them, just so that the tutorial doesn't go on forever with stuff like that. Two, three, and four. 3 and 4. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so it looks reasonable. I might actually find this a little bit big, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. So what we're going to do for this is the numbers. And this is also going to be somewhat animated, so I'm going to put actions and stop. And when the quiz first loads, we're going to be on page 0, and then we're on page 1 and 2, etc., etc. So we're going to need to increment this up. But what I want to do is in this frame, in the first frame, I want to fill this with a color below the number, but I don't want it that intense. I'm going to make this 50% transparent, and it's going to look like that. All right, so when it first starts off, it's going to look like that. Now, to make it move, what I'll do is I'm going to create more frames here. So I'm going to go F5, I'm going to do that a few times. Let's see how far we need. So I need 0. That's going to be 1. I'm going to move the stop along. That's going to be 2. That's going to be 3. And that's going to be 4. Okay? And each time I'm going to hit F6 there. And this time I'm going to put the color in there. And then I'm going to hit F6 again. And this time, I'm going to put the color in the next one. I just hope I don't forget where I was. 6. Move to the next one and then the last one. 6. And then the last one. I don't need to change the numbers. I just do that. All right, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's going to stop right there on that frame on 0. So it's really coming along. Now, you know, you might not like the positioning of this. You might not feel it's very centered. So you can, you know, use that clip at the bottom there to sort of give you an idea. You know, you can move the next and the back buttons a little bit as well. We're only on the first frame. We're going to be doing more with these buttons soon. So, you know, that's how it looks so far. That's not bad. Great, good stuff. So we got that going. And I see I went up to 5 there. And I went up to 4 there. Well, we may be doing one less page. That's totally fine. Now, I think we are ready to start working on this panel here and eventually coding it all together. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Now, if we're not happy with the position of this, now is a good time to move it over before things get too crazy. Now, I'm going to be putting another panel here, and I don't want too much white space, so I think it might be reasonable for me to unlock everything and move it over a little bit now. And I don't need my reference page moving. You know, just something like that. I don't know that I really need to go down. Okay, so that I can put my other thing here. In fact, I'm going to go even a bit more. I'll do it like that. All right, so I can put my other screen in here and everything looks fine. Nothing's shifted, everything's okay. I'm not super crazy about this. In fact, I think what I'm going to do also now at this point is I'm going to move these next buttons over more, and even this like that, and just to get it away from this. Okay, that's fine. Great. Now, this is the question panel, and I'm going to create another frame, choose black and white and the rectangle, and maybe 22. I think I chose 25, but this is a smaller thing, so maybe 22. I'll go up to 4 though. I'll zoom in a bit, and maybe I don't need that much. And I'm going to create the button panel now. In fact, I think I will go back out to 100 just so I can see the relative size of these things a bit better. It doesn't matter where I create it exactly, you know, something like that. And I'm going to take this area, edit, copy, and paste in place. And I think I'll bring it inwards, just like this. I'm pretty happy with that spacing right there. I think that's just fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call this button panel. And I'm going to give it an instance name. Great. Name the layer as well. And let's go into this. This is going to be the body. And on the next layer, I am going to grab one of those screws. I'm going to bring it over. Let's zoom in and see what it looks like there. Let's make it smaller. 85, that might work nicely. Yeah, it's a bit big, but that's totally fine. I'll bring it across, copy it across, and then copy them down to the other corners. Excellent. Okay, those are the screws. Label those for now. See what we do in a bit. Let's go up and do some scratches. One of my favorite things to do. Let's make some scratches on this thing here. Just have fun. If you're a good artist, you could really do some great stuff. That is not something that I am very good at. I just mess around. But yeah, you know, you get some interesting results regardless of that. And so hopefully this is going to look okay, at least, you know. And then you got some gameplay, so you're not just focused on the graphics. You got some, you know, entertainment aspects as well. So I think that's enough of the scratches. We are going to be going for the same color scheme for the body as well. So I'm just going to go right in here right now. And I'm going to choose that orange color. That looks nice. Okay, cool. Now, inside here, we're going to be doing some work. All right. But the first thing I think we're going to be doing is making those buttons. And one thing that I am noticing is that, you know, the stroke in my original was a bigger stroke. It might have been 5, and then that inner stroke was smaller. It's up to you how crazy you want to get with the stroke size. I think I'll go ahead and try to bump these up for now and see if it works for me or if it doesn't work for me. The only thing I want to check if I do that is I want to check that clip and make sure it still looks okay. And I think it does. And you might think that that's too much of a stroke, but I mean, I'm going for a cartoony look anyhow. And I may tone that down. But while we're at it, just to really make this start to look cool, or more cool anyhow, I'm just going to change the background to my favorite gray color. And we'll go ahead and we'll put a shadow underneath this button panel. So we'll create a new layer. I'll pull it down. We'll get rid of the stroke and go for black. And I will use a circle tool and I'll just draw a shadow underneath there so it looks like it's standing up as well. We'll tilt that later. Call that shadow. At times I need to do my layers. It becomes more important. All right, this is going great so far. All right, so now it's time to draw the buttons in here. And it doesn't matter right now where I put the buttons. I'm just going to put them up here. I'm going to grab the rectangle tool. I'm going to go black and white. And I think I'm going to go 3 for the stroke and 8 for the corner radius. And I just need 4 buttons in here. So let me see how these look if I start drawing them just like this, just to get a sense of whether or not they can all fit. So I'll do one like that, and then I'll just grab another. Yep, looks like I could get 4 of them in of that size. So I think I'll stick with that. I just want to see if I'm going to be happy with that stroke size. I think I will. Okay. Okay. So I'm already within the button panel, and I'm going to call this A. BTN, A button. Okay, so this is going to be, I believe I'm putting them all on the same layer. So A, B, C, D buttons. Just do it like that for now. I'm going to come into this, and this is going to be my button. Now this will be animated, so I'm going to do something with that in a bit. And here I'm going to do some text. And I think I'm using Impact for this as a font. This is Verdana, but I think I wanted to switch it to Impact. Where is Impact? There it is. Okay, and I'll go for 35. How does that look? Oh, I can go bigger than that. 45. Even bigger than that. Okay, let's just see what that's like, because I do want a little bit of room around the edges to do something. Okay, so I don't think I like the stroke size there. I think I want to go for more than that. Maybe I wanted to go for more of a curvature. I'm not quite sure. So let me grab the stroke here. I'm going to try 4 for the time being. I think I'm going to like that better. We'll see. And the text, I can even go bigger than that. Yeah, a nice big giant text on these buttons here. Okay, so I'm going to have something like that. I might tone down that stroke later. We'll see. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do those inset. Well, no, I'll do my outer inset. This is text. I'm going to come back to here and grab the body of the button, copy it, paste in place, and I'm going to make it a light gray color like that. I'm going to move it underneath, and I'm going to expand it. Now, I'm going to get it nice and close. I'm going to expand it just a little bit, all the way around. Have a look at that. There, it sort of looks like it's inset a little bit. It gives it a bit of a cool effect to it. So I'll call that inset. And now what I like to do is I like to take my button, again, it's already selected, I guess. Grab my stroke, edit, copy. Go up to another layer, edit, paste in place. And I'm just going to delete a bunch of it, so I just leave a little bit in the corner. Now, I'll do this so I can see it a little bit better. What I've got left. Okay, cool. So I've got this, and I'm going to make this just one. Yeah, I'll try one, and that light gray. And I'm going to move it just like that, something like that. And I'm going to take it, the whole thing, copy and paste it in place, flip it horizontally, and move it to this corner. Okay. Might need to move both of them down a little bit, or just by one. Okay, take it, edit, copy, and paste in place. Flip it vertically this time, and then move them down. And it just gives the button sort of just a neat, I don't know, almost beveled look. I'm going to call this curves. I'm not going to make them a symbol or anything like that. Let's just have a look and see how noticeable it is. It's almost not, and so I think I need to go to a darker gray for these. Yeah, not that color there. Let's do that. There, that's better. All right. Yeah. Once I have 4 buttons, you'll be able to see it. You can do it more if you like, but okay. So we're in pretty good shape now. This is going to be an animated button, so I'm going to do an actions layer. And I'm going to do stop in that first frame. And all I want to do is I want the text, the curves, and the button itself. And I could put them all on the same layer, but I want them to depress, just like my other buttons. So make another frame, drag the stop over, and all 3 of these, I'm going to do a keyframe there. Let's make it so that I can actually select them. We'll leave the inset alone, and we'll just go modify, transform, scale and rotate. I want 90. All right, so that's my button there, and it'll go in like that. Okay, so we're going to test it out. Of course, we'll put some code on here, and we'll see how it runs. So we'll go on. I could copy this from the other buttons, but on press this dot go to and stop. Sorry. Oh boy. This to go to and stop 2. And on release, this dot go to and stop 1, so back to its original position. And let's not forget also that on release outside. Let's give it a try. Okay, button goes in good. A little bit far almost. Good enough though. Is it good enough? Yeah. Okay, now the other thing about this is that may be a little bit too big. So what we'll do is let's go ahead and copy out 4 buttons and see how it's going to look. Yeah, you know, I think they're going to be a bit too big for what I want to do. On the other hand, it's nice to have big buttons, you know, for the students. Looks pretty cool already, eh? However, maybe a bit too big. So I'm just going to go down by a bit. I'm just going to do that, and there's A, edit, copy, paste in place. So we'll do that. I can change the spacing later if it's too much. And just do it like that. And grab the whole thing. And just by eye, sort of try to get it like that. See how it looks. It looks pretty good. Then we'll just change these up. So now that's oh, by the way, I think I need to give this an instance name of A button, btn. I'm going to duplicate this one now and call this B button. Is that a B or an 8? B button. And I'm going to call it B button over here. I'll change that in a second. Duplicate that to C button. An instance name of C button. And D button. So nice to be able to reuse stuff and then just modify it a bit. Okay, so we'll come up here and all I need to do is modify the text. Make sure it's capital to say B there and B there. Come into this one. Oops, I went out, I guess. There we go. C and C. Oh, I think that's why. And I'm doing really well. And D there. And D here. Save that and have a look. Cool, eh? A, B, C, and D. That looks really nice already. For a simple tutorial, it's already almost, it's 50 minutes, whatever, almost an hour. So I appreciate you sticking with me for those of you that are still here, because we're going to do something cool right now. We're going to do some masking. And just notice, by the way, when I, if I happen to come in real quick and I hit something and I move away, the buttons work fine, okay? Anyways, let's do that sort of, let's do this effect here. It's nothing incredible. It's nothing super original, nothing like that. It's just, I like it. I decided I wanted to do it for this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the inner part of this screen because that's where I want that fence-like structure to be. So I'm going to copy this, edit copy, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go edit, paste in place. So it's in there, just on top of the other one. But I'm going to call this one mask. So this is going to have a special function in a couple minutes. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, and I'll create it under here. All right. I'm going to create a fence-like structure to do that thing. So the way I'm going to do that, and I'm not necessarily saying that I'm any good at creating fences, is I am going to do a 6-sided polygon, I believe, and I'll do stroke and no fill, and I think I'm going to do it in 1, but I can change this in a bit. So let me just try this and draw that. Let me have a quick reference look up here, and yeah, that's probably it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to piece this together a bit, and then I'll convert it to a symbol. So I'm going to do like stuff like this. Put it on here and nudge it around. I mean, this will just take a couple minutes. I'm not going to bother to worry about if strokes are lying on top of each other. I'm just going to quickly make this. It's not going to be super visible. All right, I'm just going to piece it together like a puzzle. All right, going okay so far. Whoops, and then that'll happen, right? Hopefully I get the whole thing. Nope, I didn't. kind of thing. Looks like, I don't know, the chicken wire or something like that. And we'll do it again. Do it out there. How's it going just relative to the size of that? Is what I got to think about. I'll take the whole thing one more time maybe. And I will see if I can click it on reasonably. And I don't even have to make the whole thing anyhow, because there's going to be gaps in it. I think that would probably work if I could get that in there. That looked okay. And I'm going to put a shadow on it, so it doesn't even matter if there's some overlap. I'm going to go one more time. Now, on some machines, this could cause your machine to really slow down all these lines, but it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, I think that's probably good enough for what we want to do. And so I'm going to modify that and convert it to a symbol, call it fence. And I'm going to come into it. It's already selected, edit copy, edit, paste in place. Doesn't matter which is the original, I'll just drag it underneath. And I'm just going to nudge it down a tiny bit and over a bit, so that it kind of looks a little bit like a shadow. Okay, now on this one, I converted that to a different, sort of a different color, lighter gray, so that might look a little bit better as well. Okay, now here's the thing. Lay this on top and see if you can shrink it down a bit so you got a good size, but still sort of fits. That's pretty good. If you want, you can either bring it on top or you just hide that, and that's pretty good right there. Now the first thing that I'll show you is I'm going to take this mask and I'm going to call it a mask, and what it does is it only shows the graphic where the mask is. So I mean, already that looks pretty cool, I guess, if you wanted that kind of effect. But what we want to do, I believe, is have this above the buttons. Okay, so let's just try that. Let's take the buttons and put them down there, but not in the mask themselves. Okay, so something like that, but now we want to cut through here. And so basically what I have been doing is just going into, let's see, was it the mask? Well, there's different ways of doing this, but we'll give this one a try. And this is why I'm going to save it, and we'll see if we need to do it differently. What I want to do here is this is going to be on the mask layer here, and I'm just going to erase parts of this mask. Let's just see what happens if I do stuff like this and then lock it up. You can see it's broken up in that region there. All right, so I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing with the eraser and erasing parts of the mask. And as I do that, then the fence will look like it's broken in those spots. And the only thing you have to be careful is that you don't have to get weird pieces sticking out like these kind of pieces here. All right, so we'll get rid of some of those pieces there. And anything just sticking, hanging off in the middle, not attached to anything else. Let's try that. You know, just a couple of pieces, but otherwise we're starting to get the effect that we want. And I think it looks pretty cool. Let's see how it looks now. Just going to get that. You know, maybe it's a bit busy, so let's do a bit more. Up in this area too, but I definitely want some of that overlap. Yeah, again, it's artistic choice. Do it as long or as little as you like. Maybe I'll get rid of that piece there. As best I can, anyhow. And we'll just make it a little bit less busy here. Let's try that. Oh. That's pretty good. I don't even mind if there's a couple of little flecks here and there. It just makes it look like the dirt. Well, let's assume that was the look you were going for. One more thing. Let's just not go so crazy. Okay. There we go. Makes me think Spider-Man every time I see this. Cool. All right. So that was kind of the effect I was going for, so I like it so far. Excellent. Now the next thing is that these buttons are going to control the lines that I showed you here, over here, right? When I go through it and I click on a button, this line is going to show up, or that box is going to show up. And so the thing is, the easiest way to do this is to put those lines and boxes on the root timeline, not inside the stage, inside the this panel here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create that, and let's put it here for the time being. I'm going to call this right, wrong. Do it all in one symbol. And actually, in order to do that, I can't do that yet. I've got to create a question, so I'll leave that frame there. We'll go ahead and create another bunch of frames here, and I'm going to drag this stop over to here, and a number of things are going to have to get repeated, but for the moment I'm going to repeat the question, so I'm going to put another keyframe there, and here's where I'm actually going to write my first question. Okay, so I'm sorry if it seems like I'm jumping around. There are a number of things that you got to do in order to make this happen. So this is going to be question 1. And I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to do some basic chemistry kind of questions from grade 10 science. So stuff like the nucleus of an atom. They're not going to be the same question as on my sample. The nucleus of an atom contains the following subatomic particles. I'll come down 2 spaces. A, protons only. B, electrons only. C, neutrons only. And answer D will be protons and neutrons. So let me check that out. All right, so that would be my first question. Now, because I've got two two screens here now. I got that one and I got that one. I might as well go ahead and work on these next and back buttons. So I'm going to need them in the first frame and in the second. So I'm going to put a keyframe there. I'm going to go back to the first one. And before I go too far, I realize that I don't think I want them that close together, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I want that. So here I'm going to do the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think it's going to leave it at that. That's good enough. Okay, so back in the first frame. So let's have a look at this button. So on press, it's going to go down. On release, it's going to go up. And I also want it to go to the next frame. So root.goTo and stop 2. And I also want that under here. Okay, so that's going to take me from the beginning to the next question. Now, let's do the back button. The back button here, I don't want it to go anywhere, but in the next second frame, I want it to go back to the first. So I'm going to say, I think I can paste, can I? There we go. And I'm going to change this to frame 1. And this to frame 1. And we should be able to go forward and backwards now. Forwards, backwards. Okay, cool. All right, so when we get to question 1, we're going to do that, you know, all those lines and connect that to these buttons. But while I'm at it, I might as well change this so that this goes from, that's frame 0, and then this is going to be, you know, number 1. So we're going to work on that. So that is the numbers. Now, what I need to do here is I need to, let me go into this and have a look at this. Okay, so I have different frames. Okay, cool. So I'm going to say up here, I'm going to say root.numbers.goTo and stop first frame. That's the 0. And that's where it goes to anyhow. But here, I'm going to go to and stop the second frame, which will be the number 1. So let's try that and see if that worked. There. Go back to there. Go to 1, 2. So everything's coming along really well. And now let's go ahead and make those lines and boxes so we know what the correct answer is and the incorrect answer now. So I'm going to come down to the right, wrong. And here I'm going to, well, I could do this a bunch of different ways. Right, wrong is really going to start here, right there, in you know where the questions are. And I'm going to grab that line, and I'm going to make this red, and maybe we'll try 2. We'll see if that's too much. I'm just going to draw a line through here. And I'm going to make it go quite far across the stage. That's good. Now, this has to be above the questions. It should look a lot better if it's there. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that into a symbol. We'll call this right, wrong. And I'm going to give it an instance name. Okay, and I'm going to go into it. And here I have my line. And I'm going to create actions and put a stop. Now what I want to have happen is when this first loads, I don't want that in the first frame. So you'll see nothing until we call for it. Then we'll see it show up there, but I don't want it just like that. I want it to fade in. And this is actually going to be correlated with the button fade. So I may have to make some adjustments here. So I'm going to come out, I'm going to just actually give myself a bunch of frames for the moment, F5. I think I want just to about the 5th frame, I want it to fade in. So I'm going to do motion tween, and on the first, I am going to choose alpha 0, and it's going to fade in. Okay, and then it's going to stay, and I want it to stay. So I'm going to drag the stop over to here. And let me save that, think for a second. Okay, we're actually going to do something different here. We're going to drag it out to 10 and get rid of it. Okay, so this is going to be wrong. And when we come along, it's going to fade in, and it's going to stop there. Cool. All right. Now, I'm going to come up, and I am going to do another one, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that from this position here. As soon as that one's gone, and on this spot, I'm going to do right. I'm going to grab a rectangle with no fill and just this lime green that I love so much, and I am going to do a box, and well, I could have a little curve on it, but I don't think I want to. So we'll get rid of the corner radius on that. And we'll just draw a nice box. Okay, and we'll adjust that. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so if it's wrong, it's that. If it's right, it's going to be that. So we went to 10, so we're going to do this to 20. Put a motion tween on that. And let's alpha this out so it fades in, and then a stop. Okay, cool so far. So I can choose right or wrong. And so what I want to do is I want to put another layer here, labels. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to hit F6 to create a keyframe. I'm going to call this wrong. And right here, F6, I'm going to call this right. So I can say I want you to play the wrong thing, or I want you to play the right thing. Now, that's one of these things here, okay? I'm going to call this right, wrong, 1. And I'm going to copy it and just go down 4 times. Edit, copy, edit, paste in place. And it might take some adjustment. I'm going to call this right, wrong, 2. I don't need to change anything inside. Edit, copy. No. Something somewhere in there. I'm going to call this one right, wrong, 3. One more. Edit, copy. Okay, because I got to select the thing first. Silly. Right, wrong, 4. Okay, cool. So far, so good. Okay, takes a while, but we're getting there. Now, we now have either a line or a box for all of these. I mean, if I go in here, right, we can either cross this off or put a box around it. Now, again, you may have to adjust the positions a bit, but let's get the buttons sort of working now. So this is the button panel, and the buttons are inside the panel. And to get around the coding complexities, I'm going to come on top of the panel and use the fill. I don't need any stroke, and I'm just going to drag out sort of something that covers most of this button like that. It doesn't have to be super accurate, not a problem at all. I'm going to convert this to, I'm going to call this button zone, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to go in, and I'm going to make this 0 for my transparency, so you can't see it, but it's there. And I'm going to call this, well, let me see what I called it over here. Okay, button zones. Give it an instance name. No, I didn't have to. I don't have to, of course I don't, because I'm right on the root. Okay, cool. These are going to be our button zones. And I'm going to do one here. And I might as well do some code on this right now. Okay, and then I can change it a bit. And I'm going to say this. What am I going to do? Hang on. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the code for the depression of the buttons and the loading of the right or wrong information on the button zones, not inside the buttons themselves, because I want to be able to change this from frame to frame. And so watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into the button panel, and fortunately we gave these instance names, but I don't need this code right here. I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to get rid of it on all these buttons, and they will now no longer do anything. All right, but we've got the instance names on them. Let me make sure I took it off of there. I cut it. Okay. I'm going to come back out. Those are just graphics now on the button panel. But on the button zones, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say on press, not this, root.buttonPanel.aButton go to and stop. So I'm calling that button within the button panel. Let me try this. On release, go back to frame 1, and then we'll test this. And we're going to do the same thing here. Now let's give that a try and see if it still works. Yeah, it still works. Now these ones don't work. I've transferred the code from the button to the button zone, which is on top of it, which is going to make our life a lot easier. I'm also going to say the nucleus of an atom contains the following subatomic particles. The correct answer is D. So I'm going to say on release, boot.right wrong 1, the first one, dot go to and play wrong, because answer A will be wrong. Now we'll give this a test and we'll see if this works. I'll put it down here as well. So let's see if we got the right coding. Oops, shouldn't be there. There we go, and it lights up. Okay, now back on the first frame, I don't want these buttons to be depressing, and so what I'm going to do is these button zones, I can actually just drag them to that frame so that when it starts off, there's nothing. But when I go to this frame here, the buttons are now active. So let's go ahead and put in all the code. So answer A is wrong. Let's grab the same code and go to button zone. Do I have button zone B? I haven't done it yet, so let's do this. Let's just copy this button zone over onto there and make some changes. This is referring to B button. Still playing wrong, but this is right, wrong, 2. B button, right, wrong, 2 for the second choice. Give it a try. Okay, come to the first question. A is wrong and it stays. B is wrong and it stays. If I do that again, it'll just load it again. C is going to be wrong and D is going to be right. So let's just, I'm going to grab this one and this one at the same time. Bring them down, copy them over. Okay, here's C. This one's going to be wrong. We're just going to change. This deals with button C. Button C. This will be right, wrong, number 3 for the third choice. And let's do D. D is going to be correct. So I'm doing really well here. Not too many more things before we get this set up. D, this is right, wrong, number 4 for the fourth choice. Oh, I better do this. I better double check that and see. I didn't miss that. Yep, I did miss it. You probably saw it and I didn't. Save it up. Oh, this could work. Of course, nothing going on in the first frame. Here's the first question. Wrong, 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 wrong. And the reason is very, very simple. When it comes to the fourth choice, I want you to play right. Can't spell right though. I want you to play right. Now we'll try it. Second frame. Wrong, 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 right. Excellent. Now, problem is, working pretty good so far, but you'll see what a problem is in a bit. So, okie doke. Now, here's what we're going to do. I think it's time, before we move any further, we may have already had a bit of a problem by not tilting that yet. Well, I'm not sure it really needs to be tilted anyhow. Let me just think for a second. Button zones, I could fix it. Yeah, why not? Let's do it anyhow. Let's do this. Let's take this, zoom out, and you'll notice that on this frame here, it's tilted a bit. It just makes it look kind of cooler. And bring this down here, and I'll take the snap off. I'm just going to rotate it a bit. Bring it down somewhat in front, if I can. If I can get the right position. If I can't, I'm going back to where it was. No, we're just going to leave it out there. We're going to leave it tilted out there. Now, the reason I was concerned is because my button zones will be all funny. So let's just come in here and see if I can line these up a little bit better. Always a good idea to plan these things out. Once we have it, though, we won't be messing with it. Just double check that it works. Everything works. Okay. And of course, you know, you could be here and just go for the right answer, and that's all you get. Okay, so far so good. Excellent. All right, let's go on and do another question and see how this thing progresses. So create another frame here, a bunch of frames there. Drag the stop out, and now all of these things have to be repeated. So I'm going to put keyframe there. Now, right, wrong is going to have to be repeated. And this, and the button zones. And that was the whole idea of having those button zones there. You'll see what I mean in a bit. So let's go on and do another question. This is going to be question number 2. And we are going to say, what family includes the element lithium? Or what chemical family? All right, let's make this answer A. So this will be alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, halogens, noble gases. I'll capitalize it like that. Okay, so that's question 2. Now, we probably set up the next buttons. I'm not sure if we did. Let's double check that. If we were on frame 2, this button would have to say, go to, we didn't set these up at all. No, we set them up back here then. Okay, so I'm going to copy all that code and I'm going to put it on this one here. And this is going to say now, go to frame 3 and go to frame 3. Whereas this one is going to say, go to frame 1, go to frame 1. We may be okay on that. There. Question 2. Go back. We didn't go back to the right place. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, we're good there. We're good there. Let's set up these ones. Oops. This one is going to say go to frame 4. We don't have a frame 4 yet, but we will soon. And this one is going to say go to frame 2, I believe. So let's double check that we can navigate around. 2, 2, 1, 2, nothing there, 1. Okay, that's good. While we're at it, before we get too carried away, let's do our numbers thing. So we were here, and we said numbers 2. Let's go up here. Numbers 3. Double check that. So we go to 1, 2, which is the 3rd frame, back to 1. Okay, everything's going really well so far. So let's set up the answers for this, the lines and stuff like that. So this is why we made the button zones again. So we come over here, and A is the right one, right? I want this to be changed to right, and that's all we're going to have to do. Well, there's more stuff to do, but as far as this goes, change that to right. That's already wrong. That's already wrong. That we just changed from right to wrong. Let's try it out. And that's the problem there, okay? We have to get rid of that stuff in order to make this work. So what we're going to do, what I'm saying, if you didn't catch that, is when we answer here, as soon as we go to the next question, it doesn't disappear, it stays there. All right, and so what I think we'll do is on the next buttons, when we press to continue to the next frame, so let's say, for example, we're here, and we answer, and we press this button, on that button, I am going to say just before it goes to the next frame, I'm going to say root dot right wrong one dot go to and stop one, which resets it to the first frame, which it doesn't show at that point. And I'm going to do that for each of them. Number 2, number 3, and number 4. And I'm also going to copy that and put it below. Right there. Now, when we move to the next frame, it disappears and we can start again. Okay? Now, I also need to put it on the back button. All right, in order to get rid of it from there. So I'm going to do that. In between, just before it moves to the previous frame, get rid of all that stuff. Get rid of all that stuff. And while I'm at it, now there's no right and wrong answers on that first frame, but this one, before we proceed to the next one, get rid of all that stuff and that stuff there. Oops. Okay, get rid of it there. And on the back button, get rid of it there. And get rid of it there. Now, let's see where we're at so far. Frame 0, buttons don't work, instructions, back button goes nowhere. In fact, I'll probably disable that there. Next question. Okay, what's the right answer? Well, it's D. Okay, but let's say it shows that first. Cool. First question. Next. Good, it's gone. Second. Okay, of 4. Oh, got the right answer right away. Good. Next one. Doesn't go anywhere yet, but got rid of it. In fact, let's go here. Okay, I want to go back. Try that one again. It's gone. I can do it again. So everything's going really well so far. Okay, where are we at? I'm going to go for another one. And I'll make another keyframe here. And another keyframe there, and there, and there. These are all the things that I need to create new versions of. Okay, so the back button in that frame is going to go back by 1 frame. Go to and stop 3. From here on, it's pretty easy. This one is going to go on to the next frame, which is 5. We've already got the get rid of stuff code on there, so we don't have to worry about that. And what I should have, though, is at my stop here. And by the way, let's do this. Play 3. Play 4. I need to double check something. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I can have another question in there, and then I'll have one more. Okay, good. All right, so the next and back buttons, the right and wrong, was there anything I needed to do? Well, I'm going to have to adjust those, so we'll do the question first. Okay, so let's do a new question. This is question 3. And it will be, I'm going to make this 3 lines, show you how I have to adjust this. I'm going to say the second shell of an atom generally holds this many outer electrons. Okay, let's make the answer B. 2, 8, 16, and 32. Now, it's going to look weird with long lines and box, but that's just the way it is. Okay, so there's the questions right there. Let's do the right-wrong stuff. Now, I want you to see something. You'll notice that they're up a little bit too high, so I'm going to try just bringing them down and eyeball it. And that might be fine. And you're going to have to do it by trial and error. So we know the answer should be B. So I'm going to come into the zones, and I'm going to change this to say right. We're almost done here, really. Very long tutorial. That one was the only other one that said right, so we can switch that to wrong. All the others should be okay. Save it, and let's see where we're at. 1, 2, 3, good. All right, A, wrong. B is right. Okay, now I actually want to tap those right wrongs down a tiny bit. Okay, I'm going to try just one. No, maybe I'll try two. All right, I'm just going to get up to there. Yeah, that's okay. Good. Go back, it's gone. Back, it's gone. Good, we have one more frame to do. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. And of course, you could keep this, this quiz going on for, as long as you want it to be. And it's not going to be a very big size at all. Change that to 5. And next, back buttons. Yes, we do need more of those. Right, wrong, we really don't, because this is going to be the end of the quiz. So I'm just going to put F7. Yes, we need more questions, but we don't need the button zones, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm getting rid of them by putting a blank keyframe in there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's go to the questions. This is really just the end, so I'm going to say the end, and I will say thank you for playing. Please visit www.zerobio.com for more quizzes and games. Good enough, that kind of thing. And I'll change this to orange. Oh, and I'll say one more thing, and I'll say press the right arrow button to play a game. Just in case, so that they know. Okay, so there's my end screen, and I'm setting that up. So now, my next and back buttons, this button here at the end of the game, I want it to take them back to frame 1, to the very beginning. Okay, the back button is going to go to the previous frame, which is frame 4. And there are no button zones, as you'll see. So let's go through this, and let's just see if I can get. There we go. Question 3, there's the 4th page. You could make this an active link if you want. If I go back, I'm fine. If I am here, there's no buttons. If I go back here, there are buttons. Back, back, back to the beginning. No buttons. All right. Now, there is one more thing, and that is if you wanted to put a fade on this, you could certainly do that. And the way I would probably do that is call it fade. Come into here, just black. Just drag out a rectangle here to cover everything. All right, tap it over a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to call this fade. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to go into this. We'll call it fade. Actions. And I want this right here, and I'll bring it to say here. I'll put a stop in my actions. Oops, stop. I'll drag it out to here, and at this point I'll say go to and stop 1. Oops. You know, to reset it, I want a motion tween here, and I want this alpha 0 so that it would fade out. You know, it's in, then it would go away. And now, what we're going to do is find it. Sometimes it's hard to see. Give it an instance name of fade. And we're going to make this work with the buttons down here. All right, once again. So let me just double check that. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I've called it fade, and I'm going to come to my next buttons here. And I'm going to say here, right before we move to the next frame, I'm going to say root.fade.goto and play 2. And I'll say it down below as well. We'll double check that that plays. Okay, you see that? So that worked. And I'll also put it on the back button. Okay, I'll put it on the back button here. We are in the wrong frame. I got to do it from here. From the second frame, we want to go back. So we'll put it in there. Yeah. Let's try that. We get a fade, and we get a fade back to there. Nothing going on there. Okay, so we'll put it on each one as we progress through. Okay, so we're here, and the next one, play the fade, and as you go back, play the fade, and then the next one, now it is a lot of code, but it doesn't matter. It works. It's not going to cause any problems. It's not going to give you a big file size. This is not very crazy code or crazy animations or graphics. So I wouldn't worry about it. I don't worry about it. So now, did I get everything? Did I get everyone? There. Oh, why didn't the fade go? I may have put it in the wrong spot. Okay, so let's check. Let's check that I got it on everyone. I missed it on that one, didn't I? There we go. Okay. Beautiful. It's looking really good. Okay, so let me just see. The final bit is going to be the cursor. So let's do this. Cursor. I'm going to choose that orange color that I like. I'm going to drag out a square of some kind. And what I'll do here is I'm going to distort it, pulling that right together in the middle there, like that, and call this cursor. Give it an instance name, cursor. I'm going going to go into the symbol, zoom in, and I'm going to grab half of it, edit, copy, lock that up, edit, paste in place, and I give it a bit of a shine by choosing white and making this about, I don't know, 30 or something percent, something like that. And I'm going to put a black stroke around this. Oops, not there. Hopefully I can deselect that. Hopefully I can get it just on the outside. Can I? There we go. But I don't want it too big. I want it 1. And let me just see how big it looks. Not too bad, actually. What I will do, though, is I will grab everything and move it back so that the plus is right about at the tip, like that. And I think I'll rotate it a little bit, like that. Let me just see what that looks like. That's not too bad. And then what we do is we take this code here on the first frame, and I'll just grab it. Okay, right there. That code. Paste that right there. I don't think it really matters where, but put it up there. And let us see if she's working. And there you have it, folks. All right, let's close this. Is it saved? Yeah. I'm going to export this to the desktop so we can see it nice and big. That's probably the desktop. Multi-panel quiz tutorial. Check out the file size too while we're here. I don't want to compress anything. Okay, export it, save it, minimize that. Here it is. No, that's not it. That's it there. 82K. Bigger than my other one. There it is. Okay, I mean it's smaller than your tiniest image you put on Facebook. It's going to load right away. It's not a problem at all. Okay, buttons don't work. These guys work great. Okay, nice little fade. Choose your answer. Electrons, no. Protons, no. Oh, what's the answer? Oh yeah, it's D. All right, I want to go back. I want to try that again. Okay, it's D. All right, go to the next one. What chemical family includes, is it D? No, it's not. Is it that one? No. Is it that one? No. Is it that one? Yeah, no, it's the right one. All right, and this one. Oh, you got it right on the first time. Thank you for playing. Go back to the next one, and that's it. So, hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thank you for watching.